Hey miners, I'm Sarah Manter and I'm here to offer you some crypto coaching. Today I'm going to talk about the timing of the payout process for FPPS miners with Prohashing. We receive a lot of questions from customers about why payouts occur every 24 hours with us when they see them occurring more frequently at other pools, which is a fair question. The simple answer is there are a handful of unpredictable steps in between when you meet your threshold and when the coins arrive in your wallet. I don't know about you, but when I'm expecting a package and it's 3 days late, I am all over that app trying to figure out where it went. I'd rather them estimate delivery on the high side and be pleasantly surprised when it's a little early, depending on some of the unpredictable steps I mentioned earlier. Paying out once a day also results in more profits for you. With FPPS mining, shares are constantly being submitted, and the miners submitting them are consistently being compensated. Each submitted share goes toward that miner's selected payout proportions, but that miner may not have elected to be paid in the coin they've been mining. In these cases, there may be an imbalance between what blocks we've mined and what coins we owe to miners who've submitted shares. For example, we may have recently found a block of Litecoin, but a lot of customers may have Bitcoin set in their payout proportions. This is why we're constantly rebalancing coins to make sure we're ready for payouts. Every 5 minutes, our software assesses the submitted shares and the coins we have on hand, and it decides if we have enough of each requested coin to pay out if we were to have to pay out right now. It rebalances the coins if needed by executing trades. We send some of the Litecoin we've mined to an exchange so we can acquire the Bitcoin we need to issue payouts in the correct proportions. Doing this rebalancing frequently in these 5-minute chunks helps us to keep current with the market and coin prices. This way, if there's a huge run on one coin at some point and the price skyrockets, we don't lose value having to trade for coins at a higher price. Once we've acquired the coins we need through the exchange, these coins need to be sent to our wallet on the network. The exchange needs time to process the withdrawal. Prohashing has no control over how long it takes the exchange to process a requested withdrawal. The exchange needs to create a transaction to send us the coins, and the block has to be found. The time for a transaction to be confirmed depends somewhat on the person or business creating the transaction and how much they're willing to pay in transaction fees. I'll explain this a little more later on, but basically, the higher the fee they're willing to pay, the faster the transaction will be confirmed, and Prohashing has no control over what an exchange is willing to pay for a transaction. This makes the amount of time for the exchange's transaction to be confirmed less predictable. Once the exchange's transaction is confirmed, we receive the coins and then we have to create our own transaction to send the earned amount to our customers. Here, we go through the same process as the exchange. There's the wait for our transaction to be confirmed in the block. While we can estimate, we don't know exactly how long it will take for the block to be found and our transactions to be confirmed. But the more quickly we want the transaction confirmed, the more expensive it gets. Like I said, when talking about the exchange's transaction, I'll explain more about what's involved in the timing and cost of this later on. Withdrawals to start the payout process are processed at midnight following a balance becoming eligible for payout. As I said earlier, we promise a 24-hour window to account for the time to process the withdrawal, the time for the exchange's transaction to be confirmed, and the time for our transaction to be created and confirmed to send the money to you. This also allows us time to take manual action if something goes wrong with processes that are typically automated. As I mentioned earlier, the amount of time a transaction takes to be confirmed is impacted somewhat by how much the person or company is willing to pay in transaction fees. I can show you here on bitcoinfees.earn what I mean. Over on the left here, we can see transaction fees broken down by Satoshis, the smallest unit of Bitcoin, which equals 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin. On the right here, it tells us how many blocks it would take for our transaction to be confirmed if we were to pay the amount of Satoshis on the left. It also gives us approximately how many minutes it would take for our transaction to be confirmed if we were to pay that amount in transaction fees. As we scroll down and the price increases, the time for the transaction to be confirmed decreases. If we scroll to the bottom here, we can see that a 0 to 30 minute confirmation time will cost approximately 101 Satoshis per byte, which at the current prices and conditions would equal about $45. We could choose this confirmation time for each payout transaction to make sure that our transactions were confirmed in the very next block and took 30 minutes or fewer. However, it would end up costing approximately $16,000 per year. The cost of sending these transactions is not always this low. At the prices and conditions back on December 14th, 2021, when I created the original payout timing video, the transaction would have cost about $289 to send, and at that price, the Bitcoin transactions for the year would have cost about $106,000. We can expect that at some point, prices will be this high again. That's money that's needed for things like paying for a developer to do things like add new algorithms, upgrade our system to the newest technologies, or make sure that our system stays stable and functioning properly. So fees that high would end up needing to be passed down to the customer, cutting into your profits quite a bit. If we scroll back up part of the way to a middle of the road wait time, we can see that we could pay 63 Satoshi and the confirmation time would increase to about 300 minutes or 5 hours. The wait times at this level could be shorter than 5 hours during periods wherein hash rates are higher also. At the prices and conditions back on December 14th, 2021, when costs were higher, 63 Satoshi would have been worth about $180, and accepting this longer confirmation time would reduce our transaction cost by approximately $106 per transaction. Instead of paying about $106,000 per year in these transaction fees, it would bring our yearly cost down to $65,000, $66,000. That's about $40,000 per year during times when fees are high that could be saved by waiting a few extra hours each time for the transactions to go through. A cost that you, the customer, are not now responsible for. Mining pools who are charging withdrawal fees to their miners may be willing to pay higher transaction fees to get the transactions to be included more quickly. We want our transactions to be confirmed in a reasonable amount of time without cutting into anyone's profits, so we generally aim for about 3 hours. There's another reason we pay out only once every 24 hours. Transaction fees can fluctuate quite a bit depending on current conditions and the coin being sent, sometimes reaching or even exceeding $60 for a single transaction. I discussed this in the previous video about payout fees, so if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check it out. The link is in the video details below and in the card up above. At times when transaction fees are running this high, each time we send coins on the network, we incur that $60 fee regardless of how much we're sending. If we were to create a transaction once an hour for 24 hours, that would be $60 times 24, equaling $1,440 for 1 day's worth of transaction fees to send smaller balances more frequently to just one person, instead of spending the $60 once to send a larger balance. Paying out just the once in a 24-hour period also allows us to pay out multiple customers in one transaction and divide the fees among them all, which also reduces the fees per customer, in turn eliminating the need to pass down these fees to our customers. So what are the takeaways of this video? Prohashing is rebalancing every 5 minutes to be prepared for when customers reach their payout thresholds. We do try to be as efficient as possible to make sure that it doesn't take any longer than necessary for you to receive your money. We can't predict how long it will take an exchange to process a withdrawal, and the exchange controls what transaction fees it is willing to pay, which has an impact on the timing of our payouts. We can estimate when each block should be found based on block times, but we can't predict with certainty how long it will take for our transactions to be confirmed so that we can pay out. More frequent payouts can cost significantly more for both Prohashing and the customers than once-a-day payouts. When we set anything from free payout thresholds to payout schedules, we do so with the goal of maximizing profits as much as possible for everyone in the most transparent way possible. Don't forget to check out the video on payout fees if you haven't already, as it offers some insight into what each step of the payout process costs for Prohashing and what does and doesn't get passed on to the customer. I hope our videos have been helpful so far, and if they have, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I'll see you next time, miners.